Everyone, here is your book talk for this month, and excited to talk to you today about the possibility of not just sitting down and opening a book and reading the words, but also listening to a book. I'm talking about audiobooks. And today I wanted to invite you to check out our books that are available as audiobooks on the Mackin Via app. If you don't already know what Mackin Via is, I would encourage you to go to your iPad and download this app on self-service. It is easy to use. It is very user-friendly, and it is one that you can not only listen to books on, but also use for ebooks. So if you're interested in reading books on your iPad, they are all free. They are books that we pay for on our district funds, and they're books that you can check out and read and listen to at any time. So just to show you how easy it is to log in and listen to these books, what you do is you go to Mackin Via on the iPad and download that app. When you are asked for your login information, you search for Valley Middle School. And when typing that in, you want to be sure that you are selecting Valley Middle School in Apple Valley, Minnesota. Some other Valley Middle Schools are going to come up, so be sure that you click on the correct one. And then it will prompt you for a student ID number and a school password. You'll, of course, use your student ID and your password that you use when it comes to doing anything for school. Once you've logged in, you're going to see that these books are available as audiobooks. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to use the web browser version to do this. So I'm going to type in Valley Middle, and you'll notice that all these schools come up. I'm going to have to scroll toward the bottom. Oh, in fact, I need to type a little bit more to get Valley Middle School. I forgot I needed to actually type the word school. And there's Apple Valley, Minnesota. Now for me, when it comes to logging in, because I'm a staff member, I'm not going to use a student ID number. I'm going to use my name. But for you, the username is going to be your ID. And it'll bring you to a page that looks like this, with lots of book covers on it. And to select the books that you want to listen to, you'd come over here to the left side and click on AudioBooks. And that's going to allow you to see all of these books that you can listen to. If there is a red dot in the bottom right corner, like you see here for this one, that does mean that the book is currently checked out, and you'd need to press that request button, meaning you'd have to wait to listen to it until someone else has returned it. But the other ones that have the headphones, as you can see, it then prompts you to listen now. You could also check out the book if you wanted to, and that way it gives you a few weeks to listen to it. And you can just, in fact, download it right to your iPad, and that way you wouldn't need Wi-Fi to listen to that great book to read. So all the books that I'm sharing today are available on this app for you to listen to, and they are also available in our library in print. So in case you want to read this book as a paper copy, we do have that as well, but I wanted to mention that every single one today that I'm sharing is an audiobook on Mackin Via. Please stop down to the library if you need any help using that app. I am happy to help you. The first book I'm sharing today is called A Good Kind of Trouble by Lisa Moore Ramey. This story is about a 12-year-old girl, and she is one of those who is all about following the rules. She has no interest in getting in any kind of trouble at school, at home, out in the community. She believes rules are there for a reason, and she is one who's going to follow them. However, things get a little bit more complicated because now that she's entered 7th grade, life is changing a little. You know, her best friend is making things a little bit more tricky for her, and she's finding some interest in guys, like she didn't before. She's learning to run track, right? Like interests are changing and moods are changing, and well, just things change because she's in middle school, and that's what happens. People at school are making comments about her that she isn't black enough, and she can't believe people are saying that. No one's ever said anything like that to her before. She doesn't know what to do with that in terms of her identity. Shay's sister Hannah is involved in Black Lives Matter and even attends a protest. And Shay at first doesn't think that's something she wants to be involved in, but she decides to attend the protest with her sister. And when she does, she decides some of those rules might also be worth breaking. Find out what happens in this story, A Good Kind of Trouble, and it's in our realistic fiction section, or again, available as an audiobook. Dairy Queen by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch is a great sports read. Again, like I'd said before, available as audio or in our library. The quote here that I've selected really brings home the theme that if you don't talk, sometimes a lot of stuff doesn't get said, and that's true for our main character here. Our main character is feeling like her best friend isn't so friendly with her anymore. Her mom has 2 jobs. She's got this big secret that she's holding on to. She also feels like her dad is going to completely lose it if she tries out for the high school football team, even though this is her dream. In that case, yikes. Should she do it? Should she not? She has to determine what's going to be her best option here. This summer, in this book, 15-year-old DJ has to decide, is she going to end up finally speaking her mind? And if so, will she indeed have a lot to say? Read Dairy Queen by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch in our library or as an audiobook. Crenshaw by Catherine Applegate. Gosh, what a terrific author. She's written so many fabulous books. This one is definitely not to be missed. This story delivers just an unforgettable, magical story about family and friendship. And let's take a look at a trailer to learn a little bit more.
My job is to make college easier because students have a lot of fun. Oh, sorry.
Have you ever had an imaginary friend? If so, you might love Crenshaw. So Jackson had an imaginary friend, and he's going into 5th grade, so he thinks time for imaginary friends, that time is over. And he's very concerned. He's at the beach one day, and he sees on the waves a giant surfing cat. And nobody else sees this giant surfing cat. In fact, the seagulls don't even see this giant surfing cat. They kind of just fly right through him. And Jackson closes his eyes, and he opens them back up, and he closes his eyes and opens them back up, and the cat is still there. And Jackson's extra concerned because he knows this imaginary cat. This imaginary cat's name is Crenshaw, and he was there when his family was living in their minivan a couple of years ago. And he was there, and he does great funny things, and he's entertaining, and he likes to distract Jackson, and Jackson's concerned that the reason Crenshaw's back is because his family is going to be homeless again. He's noticing that the bills are piling up. He's noticing that he and his sister are hungry again. And whenever he asks his parents things like, well, what's going on? Are we going to pay these things? Are we going to be evicted? They give kind of nonsensical answers like, well, just plant a money tree and everything will be fine. So Jackson's a little concerned that he's too old for imaginary friends, but having Crenshaw come back might not be a bad thing for him.
So Crenshaw, the imaginary friend, might just save his family.
Or at least save Jackson's sanity.
Friends, real or imaginary, can be all kinds of fun. Check out this book. Posted by John David Anderson in realistic fiction. In middle school, imagine this. Cell phones are not only discouraged, they are completely banned, as in they better not even enter the doors of the school. That's what happens at Branton Middle School in this book, and Frost and his friends come up with a brand new way to communicate. Because they got to be able to talk to each other, right? Well, they leave sticky notes for each other all around the school, and it catches on. I'm going to read to you just the very beginning page to this story called Posted. The story begins, I push my way through the buzzing mob and freeze. Heart-struck, dizzy. Takes me a minute to really get what I'm looking at. Notes, at least 100 of them, pressed all over the freshly painted locker. Some clump together, overlapping like roof shingles. Others orbit like satellites, reaching up toward the wall. They vary in color, pale blue, fluorescent pink, lime green, but most of them are yellow, like dandelions before they fluff white and wither away. I stand motionless and read a few of them, softly enough so only I can hear. They're just words, and they are not just words. I think about everything that's happened, about Bench and Dee Dee and Rose and Wolf, about all the terrible things that were said, about the things that should have been said and weren't. There was a war. This was where it ended. I can't tell you exactly when it changed, when it spiraled out of control like a kite twisting in the wind, when it stopped being something funny and clever and became something else. Maybe there was no single moment. Maybe underneath all the squares plastered on the walls and the notebooks and the windows, there was the same message over and over. We just ignored it because it was easier to stomach. And now I'm standing here dumbstruck, wondering if this changes everything. I know what you're going to say. Sticks, stones, and broken bones, but words can kick you in the gut. They wriggle underneath your skin and start to itch. They set their hooks into you and pull. Words accumulate like a cancer, and then they eat away at you until there's nothing left. And once they're let loose, there really is no taking them back. Find out exactly how those words become weapons in Posted. Spirit Hunters by Ellen O., a fantastic mystery story about Harper and her family, but Harper doesn't trust their new home from the moment she steps inside. Let's take a look.
Meet Editor X, the world's most advanced website design platform, made for you.
The book is called Spirit Hunters. This is definitely more spooky and creepy than it is scary. And if you love a good mystery and love a story where, you've got lots of little twists and turns, Spirit Hunters would be a great one to pick up or listen to. And finally, in Adventure, Zane and the Hurricane by W.R. Philbrick. In this story, we've got a kid and his dog who have become trapped in New Orleans during and after the horrors of Hurricane Katrina. I'm going to read you just the beginning part of this story as well to give you a sense of how this all begins. Bandy is a mutt like me. He's black and white and small enough to hide in a gym bag, except he can't keep from barking, hi, 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 with his silly tongue hanging out and his little tail sticking up. Bandy, short for bandit, because of the black marking across his eyes and nose. Don't get me wrong, he's the best dog in the world, and what happened wasn't really his fault, even if it nearly got me killed 2 times. 3, if you count the tippy canoe. Later on, he made up for it by totally saving my life. Of course, none of it would have happened if my mom didn't make me visit the Golden Oldies in Smellyville, which is what I called New Orleans before I knew better. Before the wind and the rain and the flood, and me having to pretend I was brave, even though inside I was scared to death. My name is Zane Dupree. I need to warn you right now, there's some really gross stuff in this book, And I'm not talking about make-believe gross like plastic poop and vomit, but stuff so awful it made a dog hide his nose. And believe me, Bandy will sniff at most anything. If you want to take a look at this story and read about this character and his adventure with him and his dog, take a look at this book or check it out on our Mac and Via app. I hope one of these sounds good, or at the very minimum, you check out that app and find another book that looks like a great read to you. Thanks so much. Happy reading.